Nothing to report, except I would like to request that any council members who should be conflicted out of a vote for personal reasons recuse themselves appropriately going forward. Thank you.
Yeah, it's funny because I was curious about that. I didn't, I didn't know what was going on with that vote because I know you've shown nothing but the professionalism. You've done this before. It's not something you want to do. So I was a little curious about that, but because the vote, there was no discussion, I didn't think I should say anything. But now that you said something, I was a little
Just
curious
think it's
about
the
that.
right thing to do. And every council person before this has done so. If they're conflicted for a private matter, so.
Can I voice myself then right now?
Sure.
Last time around, we voted for a CFO, and I had a lot of concerns. I asked a lot of questions. My questions never got answered, even to this day. After the vote's done, I still don't have those answers. And, quite honestly, it's like, you're giving the cheese to the mouse. It's just like, you're making somebody the CFO when, quite honestly, you didn't have to make that person the CFO because we had a little lull the last time when we didn't have a CFO. And then this is the same thing. It's like, there's absolutely no oversight whatsoever when you make her the QPA. So she could purchase, she could be the finance person, she could be the mid, she can do whatever she wants. So that's my reasoning. There's nothing personal. That's my reasoning.
It's absolutely personal. What questions did you ask me that I didn't answer because I received no questions from you?
I sent in a whole list of questions.
I have received no questions from you. Here's what I'm going to say about this.
Because
It is with great regret that I am compelled to publicly address the inappropriate, unethical, and corrupt behavior of Councilman Donnelly tonight. The people of this town, particularly the people who elected him, should know that instead of using his position to improve our town and their place in it, he has only abused his position to benefit himself. Since last year, we have stood by while he and his wife have publicly lied about myself, Mayor Devaney, the Berkeley Heights Police Department, and other departments at Town Hall, spread conspiracy theories, threatened me with blackmail, and engaged in other activities such as harassing various township employees, not only inappropriate of a council person, but of a human being. I have not stood up to denounce these activities to date because, quite frankly, the Donnellys have children in our community. But I also will never stand idly by for indefinite periods of time without defending myself or others I care for or work with if they are being terribly wronged. Enough is enough. Since 2023, Councilman Donnelly and his wife have become increasingly frustrated, irate, and threatening because I refuse to tell my staff to change decisions they made regarding a personal neighbor dispute. The Donnellys have continued to pressure my staff to make decisions or give them information that would personally benefit them in this dispute. The councilman and his wife had tried to pressure me as the township administrator to make my staff change their mind on rulings to benefit them. They've also tried on multiple occasions to inappropriately influence the Berkeley Heights Police Department, have sent highly inappropriate text messages to some of them, and called others of them inappropriate names at council meetings. Mr. Donnelly even opposed the reappointment of our highly esteemed shared court judge this past January because he wasn't happy with a court administrator's decisions in his own case, constructing complaints of this stellar employee of more than 30 years. Every person involved in this legal case is stupefied by the continued conduct unbecoming of a council member in this matter. I repeat, this all stems from a neighbor dispute. As my staff and our attorneys continue to tell Mr. Donnelly they could not do anything outside of what was appropriate, ethical, and legal for him to get the outcome he wanted, Mr. Donnelly and his wife told me and countless others that I owed him for supporting me after the January 2023 reorganization meeting in which I was temporarily not reappointed to my position, pressuring me so I would force my staff as the boss to act differently in ways that would benefit them. Mr. Donnelly even went so far as to write an email that he brought to our zoning officer, asking him to put his name on it and send it to his neighbor as if it was written by our zoning officer. Our officer outright refused. I have the highest esteem for him for what he has had to endure in this matter. And when Mr. Donnelly claims I harassed him when I threw him out of town hall a few months ago, he was right. And I would do it again in a heartbeat if he or anyone else tries to intimidate, inappropriately pressure, or threaten any of my employees. The pressure to engage in a quid pro quo with this elected official was mounting behind the scenes as well. He went so far as to tell members of our community that if the mayor and Liza just paid us off, they'd leave us alone. I told him on multiple occasions that is not my job, nor do I have the authority to tell any township employees whose licenses are ultimately held with the state how to do their job. And I certainly would never inappropriately interfere in an issue specifically to benefit a council person abusing their position. Moreover, my job, and always has been, is to act in the best interest of the township, not to side with any one council member on any issue, public, especially not private. While myself and my staff continue to not give in to the pressure the councilman continues to exert to improve his own outcomes, the amount of anxiety and stress this type of behavior causes on someone is massive. It's a constant game of attempted gotcha, one in which our town hall staff has no interest in playing, nor in which we have time to play. The inordinate amount of taxpayer resources being used for this one councilman's personal vendetta is shameful and despicable. Mr. Donnelly's unchecked irritation over his private neighbor dispute continues to escalate, as does his barrage of harassment and inappropriate requests and/or demands of township employees, as well as his extremely conflicted votes on certain matters having to do with certain departments and personnel, such as myself tonight. We will not be a silent party to this behavior anymore. This is the time that we're speaking up. The work we do to care for our residents of this town is far more important than us continuing to feel obligated to respond to this unethical and inappropriate behavior. The people of this town deserve better. Thank you.
The people of this town do deserve better, and I'd say 99% of what you said is false.
You're so, Paul,
And I have proof of everything.
that's
So,
great. That's great.
Yep.
What I
Thank you
actually
for that,
said
Thank you.
is fact.
Okay, let's see the facts. I don't see any facts.
You can record your own conversations. I've recorded it as well.
Okay, good. Let's hear
I don't need to.
them. Okay, see, there you go, there you go. The proof is in the evidence there. So thank you for that.
I'm gonna move